Here to share positions, and we should put our various positions aside.
The president said there is need to manage the youth carefully, terming the millions of unemployed a ticking time bomb which can easily explode.
The second big problem we have is our young people. Again, let us not cheat ourselves. It is our young people. We have a youth bulge that, if not properly handled, can be a time bomb that can blow this country to pieces. And the handling of that has to be done extremely carefully. Extremely carefully. That is not a problem of this community or that. It affects us all.
He hailed the opposition leader Raila Odinga for being selfless and agreeing to find a political solution after the 2017 polls which brought about the handshake. On his part, former Prime Minister called on Kenyans to read and support the document, saying it will strengthen devolution and bring equity in the society.
We want to have an equal society where people work together and people love each other. And that's why we are proposing a new ethos of Utu.
He also welcomed Kenyans to add their own recommendations not factored in the document to make Kenya great.
We don't want wengine wanakwenda sisi tunasema la si nini. No, let's bring it here. The disabled have spoken and they've been heard. Wakina mama wameongea na wamesikizwa. Vijana kila mtu ameongea na tutasikizwa. See, do you want this to be a unifying process, uniting the people of Kenya?
After a journey of close to 2.5 years, which started out at the steps of Harambee House in the year 2018, the final BBI report is finally here. The two leaders' clarion call is, grab a copy, read it to understand the contents. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Deputy President William Ruto says the country needs to have a robust and candid conversation on the Building Bridges Initiative report to mirror the challenges facing millions of its citizens. Speaking at the Bomas of Kenya during the launch of the Building Bridges Initiative report, Ruto questioned how inclusivity will be addressed in the report through the proposal of expanding the executive and the fairness in having a few political parties involved in appointing commissioners to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
Deputy President William Ruto is urging for a national conversation regarding the Building Bridges Initiative report. Ruto took issues with the creation of an ombudsman to police the judiciary, saying according to him this will erode the independence of the judiciary.
The recommendation that has been made to have an ombudsman appointed by the executive into the judiciary, in my respectful submission, is a derogation from the independence of the judiciary.
He also wondered how IBC, with commissioners appointed by a few political parties, will be a fair arbiter in an election contest.
How fair will be a league where the referee is appointed by teams, and not all the teams, some teams?
On the creation of a police council chaired by the cabinet secretary, the deputy president questioned how such a body will argue with the independence of the police.
The 2010 constitution was very clear that the police must act independently of any politicians, whether they are in government or in the opposition. To recommend that we will have a police council chaired by a CS is actually a derogation from the independence of the police.
On the Senate, the deputy president was of the opinion that it should be made an upper house to help oversight the funds to be channeled to counties, wondering why the report seems to downgrade it. Yet many women will be elected to their house, yet they will not be substantive decision makers.
That when women go to the Senate, they are going to a Senate which has been downgraded, which has no responsibility on matters of resource allocation. Are you enhancing the participation of women, or are you downgrading the participation of women?
On inclusive, the Deputy President said the document is not explicit on how it will be attained if the idea of the winner takes it all is to be addressed.
The President, from his side, like for example here, President Uhuru Kenyatta, I am here, Kimunya is the Prime Minister, because he's the leader of majority. We have Jimmy Angwenyi, who is our deputy, as a deputy prime minister, and maybe Maoka Maore as one of the deputies. So what happens to the whole NASA brigade together with Musalia and all these other people?
Ruto said the document must entail discussions about ordinary people and concrete proposals on how the millions of the jobless youth will be assisted. While Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi lauded the document, but said aspects like the national debt must be addressed if the target of channeling 35% of national resources to countries will be attained.
Because the good provisions of increasing 15% to 35% will require resources. If the debt consumes too much of our resources, we shall again fail to serve the counties. That is critical.
Mudavadi also proposed that the Chief Justice be given the mandate to appoint the chair of the Judiciary Ombudsman, unlike what the report is proposing.
The judiciary is independent. There's a very good provision recommending the appointment of the ombudsman to handle the issues of the judiciary. I think that is good. However, I strongly believe that in order to enhance the independence of the judiciary, that appointment should be made by the Chief Justice.
Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
Political leaders have given varied opinions on the Building Bridges Initiative report. While some have hailed the document as progressive, some say the report is untimely and does not address the many challenges facing many Kenyans.
Governors, senators and members of parliament were among legislators invited to the historic unveiling of the Building Bridges Initiative report. COVID-19 prevention measures at the venue not keenly observed, but Kenyans and their leaders who graced the historic event at Bomas said they honored the invitation to represent the electorate.
Nowhere in the world, even in America, even these developed countries, they have never legislated gender issues. And that is why I'm opposed when they say that a governor having campaigned and he has to appoint his deputy, he must appoint an opposite sex. That is very wrong. You can get a rogue governor and he can sample all women in the county in the name of promising them that he's going to appoint them, especially after elections.
Leaders who support the report say it would entrench inclusivity of all communities and end political tension usually witnessed during electioneering period.
When you create a situation whereby it will be unproductive to actually bring what we will call chaos, election chaos, if it becomes unattractive, then I think we are going to get somewhere.
Everybody has been brought on board. So if you can just, listen to what the president said, continue reading and bring the issues that have been troubling us as Kenyans, this country will be a very peaceful country.
This as a number of legislators vouch for a non-contested referendum.
So that as we go for a referendum, it will be an easier matter for Kenyans to vote and agree that this is a document to take this country forward.
Majority of Kenyans are happy that we are going to have a candid and robust conversation and improvement of the document so that you can have a non-contested referendum. So there's no yes and there's no no. I know some people are expecting that because they have budgets, but all wow.
We must not campaign to reject, we must campaign to improve and make it better.
For the young who attended the event, unemployment and poverty was a major concern.
People think that we focused only on creating and restructuring the executive. But actually, most of our time, we were focused on looking into the issues of the young people.
Political leaders have made their reservations bare on the BBI report. Varied opinions have been shared. It is now up to the people to read the report and make their recommendations. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1 in the county of Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Irene Muchuma Odim, for that report. We are taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. I will be joined by two gentlemen. We'll be speaking about the launch of the BBI, the contents therein, and some of the reservations which have been raised, especially those that have been pointed out by the Deputy President, William Ruto, touching on the judiciary, inclusivity, as well as the expansion of the executive. A lot is there to talk about, as well as what religious leaders are saying with regards to the Building Bridges Initiative report, which is expected to open a floodgate of views going forward. And of course, Kenyans have been urged to read the report and forward proposals which they want included in that particular document before it proceeds to the next stage. You can interact with us throughout this live broadcast on Facebook, on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. This live broadcast is streaming live on Facebook. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Our relationship with Equity Bank started back in 2015. At the beginning, it was launched through the Easy app or the Equitel. So we stocked up our first shop, and that's where it started.
We prepared ourselves to open another branch, but unfortunately, we ran out of cash. Equity gave us a loan.
Now we have even 2 branches. Since COVID came in, the cost of medication went up, and also India banned exports of medication.
Equity helped us through restructuring our loans.
They reduced the amount we were paying before to almost half.
With EasyPay, it's easy for mobile transfers or online banking.
By the Pay With facility of Equity Bank, we have been able to accept multiple payments from different platforms.
Equity can never let us down. They are always there to support us as we walk through the journey.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
On the show tonight, we feature the king of Ohangla.
Africa, they don't respect this, especially in Kenya.
On the model, we feature Kilifi County top model.
I've never been a Mr. Tourism.
Wow.
I'm the first Mr. Tourism, and I'm proud of that.
The Queen Petronilla is also in the mix. Lakini kushaanza kuangalia news za Kiingereza.
10 p.m. it is, baby.
On the next episode of Corner.
Utamtafuta.
Ongoi sijui.
What are you going on about? You have your place in his life. You always will. You're his family. More like a trailer. Easily detached when not needed.
Decide what you want, Wanjala. Go for it.
What did you do?
I followed him home.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Kiachana mingi.
Lucky achane. Huyu ni mtu wa legend.
It's 1:15. Thank you very much for keeping us company. This is Channel 1 News Hour. Religious leaders have challenged politicians to strive to unite the country and stop the divide and rule strategy for selfish gains. Speaking at the Bomas of Kenya during the launch of the Building Bridges Initiative report, Christ is the Answer Minister Bishop David Oginde warned politicians that the laws they make should be for the nation's posterity and not to settle scores or their selfish interests.
Bishop Oginde eyed politicians to observe sobriety and not polarizing the country at this time of the process of changing the constitution.
It is in this light that I want to plead with our political leaders. Please allow the current process to objectively lay a foundation for the future of this nation. We must therefore remember that the laws you make today will tie your hands and your feet tomorrow.
Oginde eyed the political class to de-escalate the high-octane politics to avoid a political process in the Building Bridges constitutional review process.
We, however, have some very serious concerns. In this nation, we have developed a very dangerous tendency of politicizing everything. Even a very important matter as constitution making gets shrouded in political intrigues.
He called on leaders to allow the process to be objective, warning that the laws being made should be for posterity and not settling political scores.
The liberties you take away today will imprison you tomorrow. It is most unfortunate that the politics of our nation is based on divide and rule. Politicians somehow believe that the only way to succeed is to divide us into dichotomous categories of us versus them.
And I want to support Bishop. A politician ambaye anaona mbali na yule anatakia watu wake mazuri. Please, sisi 2022 ni mbali.
Trade unionists who attended the launch of the report hailing it as progressive and aimed at curing the many defects in the country governance architect.
The economy can continue enjoying their freedom and right to negotiate without much interference from the institutions that we have created. In overall, we support this process, but we urge more engagement and more friendship as we deal with it.
Special interest groups in the country are looking forward to wholesome inclusion in all sectors of the Kenyan economy if the newly launched Building Bridges Initiative report is implemented to the latter. Women, persons living with disability and the youth are loading the proposals in the document, saying enhanced representation will ensure their voices are continuously heard in the nation-building process. Suleiman Yeri with that report.
Women, persons living with disability and the youth have in the past borne the brunt of political instigated violence. On Monday at the public launch of the Building Bridges Constitution Review report at Bomas of Kenya, Kenyans were reminded of the unfortunate tragedy that befell the family of baby Samantha Pendo in the aftermath of the August 2017 general election, her parents calling for political tolerance.
Naomba wanasiasa ikuwe mwisho kwa kitinyi ilitendeka 2017, mwanamke yoyote asilie mtoto wake na familia yoyote isilie mtu wake. Msituache sisi victim tubaki na pain and agony while you move on.
Tupige debe BBI, tusonge mbele, tusiuane, tusimwagi damu tena. Wacha damu ya mwanangu ndiko ya mwisho. Kuwatika election kumwagika tena.
Forging ahead, it will appear the Building Bridges Initiative report is a bag full of goodies for the special interest groups. The youth, well aware of the good tidings ahead, are denouncing misuse by politicians and want the BBI conversation to revolve around patriotism and not elections.
Conversation ya BBI lazima ikuwe ni conversation ya patriotism and not a conversation of 2022 politics or 2027 politics.
And as the youth of this country, we've experienced the politicians who have mastered the art of conning,
conniving, confusing, and taking advantage of our youth and cutting corners with their future.
Kenyan youth also support creation of a youth commission as a vehicle to address age-old unemployment issue.
The report gives us a table on the seat by introducing a youth commission that will ensure our issues are mainstreamed and that we have serious engagement with government and other non-state actors.
At the same time, the report captures a roadmap to achieving the two-third gender rule that has eluded lawmakers for years, with women optimistic of more leadership positions.
Remember, there is a serious threat of Chief Justice Maraga that we must have the two-third gender rule. And when they say that, it is not others, it is we women who are targeted. Your Excellency, the 7 depositions that will be given to the National Assembly, then put it there that they will all of them go to women.
Women representative at Bomas further lauded the move to give them a bigger voice in the Senate and county assemblies.
Katika seneta, sasa hivi tulikuwa tu na maseneta wateuliwa 16 na wale watatu tu wachache waliochaguliwa. Lakini sasa tutapata sauti ya kina mama waliochaguliwa kikura, watakao kuwa na haki ya kupiga kura pale katika bunge la seneti na kuweza kufanya maamuzi ya kuhusu mambo ya county government zetu pale mashinani.
And now we even want to have the formula coming back so that the women of Kenya in the Senate can actually vote for a higher percentage for water, and they can vote for a higher percentage for women empowerment at the county level.
Inclusivity of persons living with disability is also well illustrated in the BBI report, with the challenge now on political leaders to play their part and ensure the national cake is equally shared.
The aspiring governors, I'd like to encourage you to kindly appoint persons with disabilities to be your deputies. Don't listen from anyone. Don't listen to anyone. Kindly take your time to read this document, and I believe it's going to change your mind.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
And right now, I am joined by 2 gentlemen in studio. We are talking about the Building Bridges Initiative report, which was launched today at the Bomas of Kenya, almost a year after the first one was launched. Stephen Owoko, the chairperson of the independent candidate, as well as John Nene, a youth leader. Nene, I will start with you. The youth formed part of the exercise which took place at the Bomas of Kenya. We did see some powerful members of the young generation being given an opportunity to address the president and address the nation as regards the Building Bridges Initiative report. Before we get into that, what stood out for you?
Actually, if you look at the document, I think in terms of mainstreaming, it is favoring women more than the youth, because young people have been given, in the summary of the document, we have the Youth Commission, and then we have that waiver for startups, and also we have the help loan grace period for payment. But you see, we have been having youth programs with the government since. We have the Youth Fund, we have National Youth Council. So during the interrogation of the document, it is not very clear how they are going to mainstream the projects that are already ongoing, and we don't know what the commission is really going to do. But you've seen that there is no position that is given to the youth from the county level to the national level of the representation, the same way they have given to the women. So on our side, I think that as young people, we don't need to be given, because we are the majority, we have the energy, we have the potential. We have to chart our way into the document. We have to chart our way into the program. And that is why, as our organization, we are running a program now, National Youth Roundtables, which is an economic empowerment platform for young people. And we're having a dialogue with 50 young leaders from every county. And we are targeting our socioeconomic empowerment potential how can we harness them and turn them to economic gain so that we get the bargaining power into the government systems and also into leadership and leadership training programs. So I think by grabbing power from the grassroots to the national levels, we can have a strong voice to negotiate our way into the program of BBI.
But the question is, how many youth see this as an opportunity? Because over the last years, I'll use the 2017 general election as an example. We did see a number of them running for public office, but just a few seized the opportunity and actually got elected to various levels of assemblies. We did see MCAs as well. We have seen some young senators being elected as well as members of the National Assembly. There is that idea that the youth can really leverage on the numbers that they have to make that needed change that is required of them. But there are so many factors that are stacking the odds against them, such as finances, for example. What do you make of this?
Actually, the biggest obstacle for young people, one is resources. If the political scenario right now requires a lot of resources for you to get into any position of leadership. As young people, we want to mobilize ourselves, strengthen ourselves economically. We want to get into programs that can train us so that we can get out there. We want to get into the programs of exposure, show our talents and potential so that we can get connections and support, financial support to take up these positions. If you look at the program that we're coming up with now, the National Youth Roundtables, we have segregated areas where youth are going to have strong voices, like digital economy, sports, youth sports and talents. We have agribusiness and climate change. We have general entrepreneurship and social enterprises. And then we have a program on leadership and governance. We are in dialogue with the National Youth Council through the National Youth Ministry so that we are strengthened, we train ourselves, and then we get into organizations nationally and internationally that can support our economic and programs which are coming from passions and talents so that we get empowered enough to take those positions come 2022.
All right. Let me rope in Stephen Owoko in this discussion. You are the chairperson of independent candidates in Kenya. What do you make of the BBI report, and is your interest as a group being addressed?
Let me put it very clear, our position as the executive. We went through the report even before and after, and we have come to the conclusion that it is not what this country needs now. And when the time comes to campaign, we are going to campaign against it. So in its totality, we have rejected it. Whatever it is in there is meant for political purposes, but not for the sake of the Kenyans. And whatever is being put there is just a window dressing and selling points. And most of the things that are captured, we have the institutions that deal with them. So as the independent candidate, we are saying it is not good for the country and we'll campaign against it.
So what are these areas that you're talking about? Because before you go out there telling Kenyans to reject this process, you must have tangible evidence or points of argument that A, B, and C is not what is needed, and perhaps we just need to look back to the constitution that was enacted in 2010. What are these areas?
And let me not just, because time will not allow for me to
just give us two.
But let me put it this way, very clear. As the president didn't put it, that there are two main agendas. One was inclusivity, and two for governance or unity. So at the end of the day, all that is put in this document leads to two things. One is about expanding the executive so that certain groups or certain individuals may be in government, and so that to achieve what we call unity. But as you look, you have to analyze the way we analyze with my team, through history, spiritually, and through critical thinking. We found out that BBI was born as a result of the handshake. The handshake was born because of what happened as economical embargo. Economical embargo was hurting certain individuals in power, certain family. So they had no choice but to say, let's come into a handshake. So they are converting their economical interest into a national political interest, which is based on deception and a lie, if you analyze it the way we did.
You know, someone will argue that what we witnessed after the 2017 general election really affected everyone, not just you know, a section of the country, as you put it. There are so many Kenyans who lost jobs. There are so many Kenyans who did not know where to turn to. And when they saw the two leaders walk down the steps of Harambee House, they knew that perhaps this is a new beginning for us. So why would a Kenyan like you not see the sense in supporting a document that has been hailed as perhaps one of the best bets to dealing with some of the challenges that have been affecting this country for the longest time?
We must go to underlying factor. Anywhere in the world where there is no fairness and justice, there's bound to be chaos. As I speak now, we have a problem in Belarus because the elections was rigged. We have a problem in Guinea now. We are also going to have another problem in Ivory Coast. So when we have elections and people rig elections, and they don't reflect the will of the people. When there's no justice economically, politically, or socially, there's bound to be confusion, and there's bound to be animosity, and there's bound to be what we call chaos. So the problem here, that some people want to get power through the back door by not using the proper means. That is the cause of our problem. When you talk of 2017, the post-election violence was because there was no justice in the electoral problem, in the electoral justice. What happened last year and the other election is because the elections were not free and fair in the nomination and the general election. And even the court nullified them because they were not free and fair. And you remember that even the officials, the man who was charged of the data was killed so that somebody may steal the election. So that is the cause.
We are not really sure about that in terms of facts, but let me go to you, John.
Yes.
You spoke about the advantages that the youth tend to derive from this document. And Stephen says that him and his group, they are going to be campaigning against the document despite leaders calling on Kenyans to forward their proposals, because I believe that through that, all this that Steve is trying to address will be addressed by that particular report. What do you make of that? Is there perhaps a scheme to ensure that the youth do not get what they want?
Edward, if you look at BBI, it is a government document. And in the history of Kenya, it is very difficult to fight the government. Again, Kenya has always been fighting. So us as young people, we are now looking at the window of economic empowerment. And we don't want to keep fighting government policies. So we want to get into look at the opportunity and see where we can get in to strengthen the government systems. And I believe that if you take the economic angle, people are divided on the political angle, religious angle, all these things. But an economic idea is like boarding a bus. When you're boarding a bus to town, you don't care whose political background is, religious background is, tribal background is. You all just want to get to town and do your business. So if we take the economic angle as young people and we show these our leaders how to change the political scenario through economic empowerment, then I'm sure that we will strengthen the conversation in the country. That is why we have targeted young people and we want to tap into their potential, talent, initiatives, turn it to economic gain, and then see how we strengthen the government policies and move forward. We don't want to keep fighting and to keep lamenting and to keep challenging every government policy. So we will look at what the BBI provides, what is there for us in that commission, how do we plug in economically, strengthen ourselves, and take over the leadership of the country as a generation. You see, this Kenya has had two serious events. That is the first liberation and the second liberation. As a generation, we have to ask ourselves, what is our mission? Our mission is to move this country from a third world to first world. This has to be economic empowerment dialogue. So we will leave the politicians and their interests to continue haggling while we strengthen the economic bloc, and that we will emerge as the strongest group economically.
Stephen,
yes.
He has talked of interest and the politicians. Two questions. What interest do you have? And you have said that you will be talking to Kenyans, telling them to reject this document in totality. What alternative are you going to be bringing to the table?
That's very good. We did present our proposals to the steering committee, and there were about 5 proposals, both economical, social politics, and so on. But let me talk about the inclusivity, the way that it is being proposed in the BBI. It is a recipe for chaos, because what they're proposing has happened in other countries. It happened in Congo. It has happened where they had 6 vice presidents. It happened during Mandela and de Klerk. It happened in Mozambique. It happened between Savimbi and Santos. So whatever, when you get people of conflicting ideas and they bring them together for the purposes of unity, in Africa where people have ego and they want power, it never works. And we see even the same thing bringing people together in Southern Sudan. So what we want is where an individual comes, he campaigns, he wins election, free and squarely, and then we held him responsible on the policies that he sold to the people. And then we have a strong opposition that keeps the government on its source on check and balances as a watchdog. But what they're bringing together, if for example now, if the president and his vice plus the odium leader, the 3 of them, and cannot even agree, what about if you bring the 5? So the kind of the leadership of unity they're bringing sounds so good, but in reality it has been tested somewhere, it has never worked.
So what are you proposing? Because clearly there is going to be an engagement, whether some people like it or not. And the Deputy President did put it across to the country that the document is not perfect. And he has his reservations. You also have your own reservations. So what are you proposing?
My proposal is very simple. We decided in the Constitution to go to presidential system. Mm-hmm. We either say we are going to go for parliamentary system or presidential system. But this is something we are calling hybrid. It has been tested in so many countries and it does not work. In Italy and in Israel. Now how many elections have they have? The same thing they're trying to bring here. So what we are saying is very simple. Come out, campaign as individual, as independent, or within a party. You win the elections on a free and fair. Then the Kenyan people holds you responsible because you swear to defend the Constitution. So we will vote you on terms of your vision, on terms of your policy, on terms of your manifesto. Then you take the mantle and you become in charge of the country. Anybody who loses now, the other people now remains opposition. So that when we as an individual can hold you accountable. Because here, now whom are we going to blame? Are we going to blame the president, the vice president, or the prime minister? Who? We even don't know whom we are going now to ask for when the government fails.
There's a structure in government, and the president is the head of state and the head of government. But all opinions are being carried in this. As we wind up, John, yes, what do you think needs to be added in this document going forward? Because before it is presented to the people for decision making, there is some corrections which will be done. There are things which will be removed, there are others which will be added. But from where you stand as the Kenyan youth, what do you want to be included in this document?
Oh, okay. So, as I said before, as we are looking at the sleeping giant, and in our programs, we have a slogan of "Awaken the Sleeping Giant." Now, there is Kenya is blessed with 2 big points here. We have our human resource base and the natural resource base. So the Kenyan person only knows politics. The political dialogue in the country has taken over the economic dialogue. We want, as young people, to use our talent, we use our passions, and we tap into the economic potential that we have. Another thing that needs to be done, Kenya is not a vacuum. BBI is not coming into a vacuum. We've had documents before. We've had our constitution, even the youth ministry, we have the youth fund, we have National Youth Council. How are we going to mainstream the old Kenya into the new BBI? This is something that BBI is not telling us. The BBI is coming as a new document in this generation, yet we have got other documents that are better that can also work. So how are they going to mainstream our good ideas into the BBI? This is the component that we will be questioning going forward.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Stephen Oboko, the chairperson of Independent Candidates Kenya, and John Nene, one of the youth leaders in Kenya, speaking to Channel 1 on the Building Bridges Initiative report, which was unveiled to the public by the president and the leader of the Orange Democratic Movement, Raila Odinga. We're taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have plenty more lined up for you.
The procedure of reporting assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority simplified in the following easy steps. Step 1. Write an email to holders at ufaa.go.ke to request your profile to be created. Step 2. A link will be sent to the email provided for activation of the account. Step 3. Click on the link to activate the profile and change the password immediately. Step 4. For subsequent access, use the link provided here. In case of forgotten password, use Forgot Password link to create a new one. Step 5. After login, click on Assets to submit records, and if the client has subsidiary, you can create more users and manage users. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite. Next on.
Seems you need to take better care of your wife, because she takes advantage of every opportunity to get close to Ramon.
Sophia.
I am not prepared to lose you, Ramon.
I don't want to have anything to do with you. This is over, Sophia. I've had enough. It's over. I'm done playing the fool over again.
Francisco, calm down. You're really starting to scare me.
Andrea and I love each other.
What's that?
Yes, we have been in love all our lives.
I'm not letting you leave.
Let go of me. I never want to see you again.
In love with Ramon.
Welcome back to the program. A cross-section of Kenyans have given varied reactions to the Building Bridges Initiative report launched on Monday. While some say the proposed enlarged executive will cure inclusivity, some are of the view that there is still room for improvement to address key issues affecting the poor majority.
If the positions are being given, people will not flabbergast very much, and they will always know that they are all represented, fully represented, and that is what we have been having a problem with. Yeah.
This is an initiative that every Kenyan of goodwill should embrace. No one should complain about it. So that it's an initiative which is geared towards eradicating or after elections frictions. You see, if we are told that we are going to expand the executive, whereby every tribe will see and feel that they are represented. So we are not, it is not asking for much.
Tuite kama wakili aje tufafanulie hapa pamesema nini na hapa pameshambua nini, ndio tukubali tuipitishe. Lakini kutuambia tu kama anavyofanya wakubwa viongozi wetu juu wakiomba tuipitishe BBI, that is wrong.
This initiative that the government of Kenya has brought about, the Building Bridges initiative, at some point it is favoring us because especially in few years before, we understand that some comrades like us who finished campus, they were unable to pay their help in time because maybe the employment problems. But when this BBI report has come, the 4 years it's a very good time because as a comrade, you'll be able to plan yourself and have some money within that time lapse.
I'm a student, and there is a 4-year grace period that I think will assist the youth in help repayment, because it's been hard for some of the youths to repay back the loan within a year because unemployment rate is very low.
Is that the marginalized communities are also going to get their share, whereby even if we will have this, one of this is called the regional blocks, the regional leadership, it will also even devolve the resources.
Upande wa BBI sio baya kwa sababu mambo ingine inaangalia, lakini mambo ya disability, hata ikiwa BBI ikiwa na mambo mazuri, siwezi nikaiona kama haiko na haijatu evolve kwa watu wa disability, kwa sababu sisi ndio tunajua shida zile sisi tunapitia
kutokana na zile katiba tumekuwa nazo hapo nyuma. Sisi kama walemavu tunaweza sema kwamba tumepambazwa. Nasema tumepambazwa kwa sababu ya nini? Kwenye karatasi ile inayosema sio yale yanatimizwa na serikali ya Kenya.
Let's now shift gears. Kenya's COVID-19 cases are 3 shy of the 50,000 mark after 276 people tested positive in the last 24 hours. The death toll from the virus is also fast rising and now stands at 920 following the demise of 18 patients in the last 24 hours.
In a statement to newsrooms, the Minister of Health confirmed of the 276 cases reported on Monday, 273 were Kenyans while 3 were foreigners. Of the cases, 179 are males and 97 females, while the youngest is a 2-year-old child and the oldest is 90 years. 2,126 samples were tested in the last 24 hours, and the cumulative test conducted as so far stand at 662,046. The latest cases are recorded as follows: Mombasa 71, Machakos 58, Nairobi 50, Kilifi 21, Busia 21, Kwale 19, Kajiado 13, and Garissa 6. At the same time, 220 patients have been given a clean bill of health, 150 discharged from home-based home-based care program, while 70 were released from various health facilities. 34,429 patients have recovered to date. The Minister of Health also said a total of 1,191 people are currently admitted to various hospitals, while 1,406 patients are on the home-based care program. At least 20 patients are in the intensive care unit, 52 on supplementary oxygen, and 20 in the high dependency unit. Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Let's talk business now. The national government has launched the construction of a 630-kilometer high-speed fiber optic cable between Eldoret and the border with South Sudan, worth 3 billion shillings. The ICT authority says the new fiber optic cable is in line with the government's long-term plan to transform lives through a smart ICT infrastructure and bridging the digital divide.
The high-speed internet cable project will, upon completion, benefit local communities, government entities and businesses, as well as promote cross-border trade with South Sudan communities. The project, which is co-funded by the government and the World Bank, is expected to be completed in December 2021. Towns such as Eldoret, Kitale, Lodwar, Kakuma, Lokichar and Lokichogio are set to benefit from the project.
Its purpose is to empower the people of the North Rift region of Kenya with high-speed connectivity, as well as eventually to provide high-speed connectivity to the southern parts of South Sudan.
The ICT authority expects internet speeds of 100 gigabits per second for users along the fiber cable corridor, including hospitals, government offices, schools, and telecommunications operators.
This will really improve connectivity for public institutions, hospitals, schools, government offices, as well as providing capacity for the private sector, which should improve connectivity greatly in this area.
Very huge connectivity that will not only serve the North Rift counties of Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot and Turkana, and a bit of Kakamega, plus also provide services in the very near future to our friends and colleagues and partners in South Sudan.
Besides the fiber optic cable, the World Bank will finance construction of 338 kilometers of road between Lokichar to the South Sudan border and Kainuk Bridge, which is at the border of Turkana and West Pokot counties. The two projects are part of the 54 billion shilling South Sudan Eastern Africa Regional Transport, Trade and Development Facilitation Program that connects Kenya and South Sudan through the laying of a fiber optic cable and construction of a superhighway. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Maize farmers in the North Rift region are being encouraged to embrace mixed farming to safeguard their earnings when maize prices dip. Experts say diversification and adoption of new farming technologies is the way to go for Kenyans to overcome unstable prices of farm produce as well as adverse effects of climate change.
Land fragmentation, high cost of production as well as cheap imports have in recent years affected the fortunes of maize farmers in Kenya. This has prompted the debate about how to cushion maize farmers. Among the proposals on the table is for maize farmers to diversify their ventures to cushion their income in case of a crop failure. Mixed farming has been backed as an alternative fallback plan.
We need other crops. You'll find if you look at even the value on the cost or, for example, beans compared to maize is a big difference. So we are trying to encourage farmers, in addition to growing maize, can they grow other crops?
With climate change, Maina says adoption of climate-smart technology would go a long way in enhancing production, hence a step further towards food security. The Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Services, KEFIS, plans to roll out irrigation scheme projects in the North Rift region to boost food security.
We need to think seriously about how we can bring the aspect of irrigation and look at how we can use land that doesn't have sufficient rain, because much as we're having pressure on land in these high potential areas, we have a lot of land in this country that doesn't receive enough rainfall. If we can introduce irrigation in those areas, we're able to produce enough seed.
Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
And in other matters, the business tourism market has increased, boosting recovery of the hospitality industry. The Kenya Association of Women in Tourism says the leisure market is expected to surge in the coming months as most hotels are now recording full capacity bookings for the month of December. Details of this and other stories in our corporate briefs.
Since the first case of COVID-19 case was reported in the country in March this year, the hospitality industry has suffered huge losses due to measures imposed to contain the spread of the virus. However, hoteliers are on their recovery path driven by conferencing businesses that have surged in recent months to supplement domestic tourism that has been sustaining the hospitality industry, with Kenyans taking advantage of discounts offered by many hotels.
We are happy to report that actually the month of October has shown good. Let me just say, since a lot of the hotels here in Naivasha opened in August, so we are seeing growth month on month. So August started quite slow. It was strong in leisure. August, September, the conference market picked up a little bit.
Elsewhere, health experts are raising concern that Kenya faces a renewed risk of an outbreak of circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2, especially in northern Kenya, Nairobi and Mombasa, following an ongoing outbreak among some of our neighboring countries. Based on risk analysis, 11 counties have been flagged as having the greatest risk of polio outbreaks because of disruption of immunization programs due to restrictions and socio-economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We must continue to strengthen routine immunization. We must continue particularly to provide polio immunization. And this is a challenge that's important to address at this time with COVID-19, which has caused the cessation of services and also the potential for having cohorts of young children that are unvaccinated.
If you do not sustain immunization, there's always the risk of sporadic polio cases emerging. We have neighbors in Kenya, meaning surrounding countries, who still have challenges with the sporadic cases of polio.
Finally, Gateway Africa and Vendat Venture will construct an integrated state-of-the-art housing units for the U.S. Department of State along Rimuru Road in Nairobi. Construction of the 90 housing units will be the second diplomatic housing project in the region after a similar project in Ethiopia. The project, which is in its inception stage, is earmarked to be complete in the next 2 years, generating about 1,600 jobs. Benson Riopa reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Let's take a look at some sports news now. Mohsin Hiajos scored the lone goal as Moroccan side RS Berkane beat Egyptian debutants Pyramids by a solitary goal to clinch their first ever total CAF Confederation Cup title in their second consecutive final.
Certainly his delivery could be vital.
In a feisty opening half, Berkane opened the scoring after quarter an hour when a shot from inside the box after a goalmouth scramble came off Mohsin Hiajos' knee and into the net.
And we have an early goal in the Total CAF Confederation Cup final. Our Berkane going to do what they couldn't in the last edition. Tayo involved as well. We'll dissect it from the replay, but the only thing that's sure is Berkane have the lead.
Barken had to finish the game with 10 men just like in last year's final when despite the numerical disadvantage, they just but managed to stay afloat.
Pick up the ball.
Debutants Pyramids had came into the final with enviable pedigree, having gone all the way to the last game of the campaign in their first ever season with only 2 losses from the last 15 matches in the competition. Frederick Mwoki for Channel 1 Sports.
Continent. New name to be reckoned with.
4x4 rally driver Deepak Kirai, the winner of the experts category of the Kenya Challenge, says he's ready for the next edition of the championship slated for early next month.
Deepak Kirai, who features in the 4x4 Rally Challenge from Narok County, is a frustrated man. 5 years ago, the team Wazimu driver says he entered into a contract with the Narok County government, and after completion of the project, the county is yet to pay him his money.
Can't say the county government of Narok because it was a private contract between me and the governor, and I've been following up for my payments. I lost my mother. I requested them to help me paying the bills and all that. This was like 5 years down the line. I'm following about the payments and all that. They are aware of I lost my mother. They were supposed to help me in a place or another, but I've been just following up. This is the 9th day since I've lost my mother. I paid a bill of about 3 million shillings to the hospital and no any support. I don't want the support. I need people to pay me my money.
Meanwhile, Kirai is setting his eyes to the upcoming rally challenge that is slated for next month at Champagne Park in Kajiado County.
Sports. I love driving, and that's why we started having these 4x4 challenges and all that. And thanks to God, I'm doing well. Until today, we have not got any incidents that one of me, as in my brother or me, have been hurt, and my co-driver is maybe hurt in any of the events. We're doing well, yes.
He will team up with his co-driver Dilip Dinesh in Toyota Land Cruiser V8. Intermediate category drivers Pradibot Saimbi, Antarot Saimbi, Joe Maura and Thiemo Esbaga are also set to feature in the challenge. Frederick Mwoki for Channel 1 Sports.
That does it for us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour on a day that President Uhuru Kenyatta unveiled the Building Bridges Initiative report to the public, opening the door for public discourse. Over the next couple of months, Kenyans will be required to present their views as Kenya moves towards the country that we want. My name is Edward Kabasa. Simon Karotha has been our sign language interpreter this evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Irene Muchuma Odeme is coming up next with Weather Forecast.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Muchuma Odeme. It has been a cold day here in the capital, and tomorrow we're not expecting much difference from what we had today. Tonight, there are showers of a few places in the capital and counties around the region. The Lake Basin region and western parts of the country are currently experiencing showers accompanied by thunderstorms, and this is stretching towards the northwestern parts of the country. The northeastern is experiencing scattered wet conditions. These as the southeastern lowlands and coastal strip are currently experiencing partly cloudy conditions, and that is how the night will be. The coldest towns tonight are Nyeri and Kericho. Temperatures stand at 14 degrees Celsius, but these are manageable temperatures. Tomorrow in the capital, we'll wake up to a rainy morning, and this will also affect Meru and Nyeri. It will also rain in Kitale and Eldoret, a few areas in the county of Samburu, and also a few areas in Lodwar will be affected. There will be rains in Wajir and Mandera during the early morning hours. The coastal strip will mainly experience sunny intervals, but there will be scattered wet conditions over a few places during the early morning hours. The southeastern lowlands will, for the better part of the morning hours, experience sunny conditions, and these will change in the afternoon. There will be showers of a few places in areas of Machakos, Meru, Nyeri, Eldoret will also experience showers. It will continue to rain over the northeastern parts of the country. The western sector and the Lake Basin region will mainly experience showers accompanied by thunderstorms over several places during the afternoon hours. And also a few areas in Samburu will be affected. The coastal strip will experience scattered wet conditions. Temperatures have slightly gone down. We are in a month that is characterized with the onset of short rains. The highest will be experienced with 36 degrees Celsius in Lodwar. Nairobi will experience highs of 24 degrees Celsius. Let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. You have a good night. Be warm. See you tomorrow.
Vera Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.